Imagine you walk into a store, you see a laptop marked 15,000, you quickly agree to buy it. The shopkeeper suddenly says, "Sorry, that's a pricing mistake. The actual price is 1,50,000." Now who is right? You, the shopkeeper, or does the law have a different answer? Let's find out. Hi, I am Prasad. In our last episode, we discussed mutual mistake. Both parties were wrong about an essential fact, and the result was simple, the agreement became void. But today, we ask a different question: what happens when only one party is mistaken? Welcome to the world of unilateral mistakes. A simple story. Imagine I decide to sell my old bicycle. I accidentally tell you that it is for 5,000. What I actually intended was 15,000 and not 5,000. You immediately accept. Later I realize my mistake. Can I cancel the contract? Most people instinctively say, of course. But the contract law does not always say so. And it's not that simple as well. The general rule is a unilateral mistake does not make the contract void. A unilateral mistake does not make a contract void. Why? Because contract law values certainty. If every person could escape a contract by saying I made a mistake, business would become impossible. Let's take an example. Suppose you agree to buy a phone for 20,000. After signing, you discover the same model is available elsewhere for 15,000. You made a bad decision, and that's not the kind of mistake the law protects. The contract remains valid. But there are certain exceptions. There are situations where a unilateral mistake can become important. Mistake as to identity. Suppose a fraudster pretends to be a famous celebrity or a business owner. You sell goods believing you are dealing with that specific person. In reality, you are not. Identity matters. The law may treat such situations differently. Exception 2, mistake as to the nature of transaction. Imagine an elderly person is told this is merely a recommendation letter, but the document is actually a property transfer deed. The person signs without understanding its nature. This can affect the validity of the agreement. A famous case, Cundy versus Lindsay of 1878. A fraudster pretended to be a reputable business. Goods were supplied based on that mistaken identity. The court held that identity was crucial. Because of the mistake, the agreement was treated differently from an ordinary case. Why this matters? The law balances two goals. Goal 1, protect honest parties, and goal 2, maintain certainty in contracts. Maintain certainty in contracts. And that's why not every mistake destroys an agreement. A mutual mistake is where both parties are wrong, the agreement is void. Unilateral mistake, one party is wrong, agreements usually valid except in the situations that we just discussed, which involve identity or the nature of the transaction. One thing I appreciate about contract law is that it expects adults to take responsibility for their actions and their decisions. The law cannot protect us from every bad bargain, but it does step in when the mistake goes beyond or to the very heart of the consent. A quick recap: only one party mistaken, general rule, contract remains valid, exceptions, identity or the nature of the transaction. Courts look at the impact of mistake. The law protects people from unfairness, it does not protect people from regret. If you found today's episode useful, please do share it with a fellow law student. In the next episode, we will look at void agreements, agreements that the law refuses to recognize. And that's where we start exploring agreements that are invalid from the very beginning. Until then, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep listening. Thank you.